Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Each episode, you'll dive into conversations with top entrepreneurs, visionaries, and business leaders, unlocking the secrets to building profitable relationships that drive growth and success. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, presented by LeDuc Entertainment. Today we are joined by Alec Broadfoot, who is a speaker, an executive search consultant, an author, and the CEO of VisionSpark. Alec, welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
It sounds like you wear a lot of hats. Can you start off by telling us a little about yourself and a little bit about VisionSpark?
Yeah, actually, I don't wear too many hats. Just I'm really happy being in my visionary role at VisionSpark. So VisionSpark, we are a search firm, and we help entrepreneurial companies or small to mid-sized businesses find and hire key leaders so they can scale, create more impact, gain more money, and have their time back. So that's what we do. We specialize in those key leadership roles, the C-level positions. We often do that number 2 leader role. We wrote a book on that. And so, that's my company. We've been in business 13 years. We've helped hundreds of businesses, and it's been a fun and enjoying career for me. That's for sure.
Can you tell us a little bit about the people and the businesses that you help? What are some of the pain points and problems that they're experiencing when they come to you for assistance and help?
Yeah, a lot of them are they're hitting a ceiling of complexity. They're hitting a ceiling of frustration. Maybe they can't grow at the pace they want to grow. Maybe there's turmoil on their team. There's lack of communication. The owner or entrepreneur or leader, they're in multiple seats and they're not really enjoying what they're doing anymore. Maybe about 10 or 20% of the time they're actually doing things they love, and they're 80 to 90% of the time they're frustrated by the things they have to do. And they only see that the way they can grow their business or get more results done is by working harder and working longer. So they're experiencing pain, maybe loss of sleep, maybe some cash flow issues, lots of frustration.
Now, VisionSpark has achieved a really impressive 98% placement rate. I mean, that's incredible. What do you attribute that fantastic success to?
Yeah, I was really surprised when I read that the industry average is 60%. And wow. I'm like, what? Like, we always find our clients great candidates. We always do. And it was shocking to me that our competitors or other folks in the industry, it's 60%, it's 10% better than flipping a coin. And that was shocking to me. We when we enter a relationship with a client, we are committed to helping them find and hire the right person, and we don't stop.
You mentioned that you've been doing this 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us, in that period of time, what changes have you seen in industries and in hiring practices in those 13 years? How has your leadership style evolved in those 13 years?
Yeah, well, things that have changed in the 13 years. When I first started the business, we're a big believer in using an assessment tool in hiring. So part of our success is that we have scripted interview questions with the response guide. So we have, several dozen questions that we ask, and we know what we're looking for when the candidate answers. And if they don't answer the questions correctly, they don't move forward in the process. We also believe in using an assessment tool. And that assessment tool measures personality and many other things. So when I first started 13 years ago, I would say 80 to 90% of our clients never heard of an assessment tool. And now most of our clients actually are using some sort of assessment tool. So now we have to educate them on what the right tool is to use, because a lot of the assessments out there, they may be 10 minutes long. They don't really do a good job of really evaluating that person and who they are at their core and what their true personality is and what their cognitive ability is and their mental acuity is. So that has been a change. Also, the old saying is hire slow, fire fast, right? And so, when we first started, we had the luxury of hiring slow, and we believe in taking the candidates through 5 different steps in the hiring process to be truly vetted. But now we have to expedite that. We have to hire slow, faster, if that makes sense, because just the strong candidates have multiple options. So those are the changes that I've seen in the industry.
Well, and that kind of leads into my next question. You're talking about these assessments that you're doing, and it kind of answers what my next question is, but maybe you could speak a little further to it. I'm wondering, when you're building out these strategies for how to hire for these businesses, is it sort of a one-size-fits-all approach, or are you really going in and kind of custom tailoring the strategies per the client and per the business?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have the same process we use for every client. Now, part of our process is we are understanding the unique culture of the company, the unique leadership style of the hiring manager, the unique traits, behaviors of the position, the unique responsibility of the position. So the process is the same, but every search is different. If we hire a lot of COOs, integrators for companies running on EOS, second in commands. Every one of those positions are different, and every company that they're working for is different. So it's not cookie cutter by any means.
Right.
Really have to be strategic in how we advertise for the position, how we interview candidates, the traits and ingredients that we're looking for. So that is different. Now, we use the same 12 leadership traits for our leadership study interview. So each candidate must score really high there. And then we also use the same assessment tool that's benchmarked. And that benchmark may change depending on the culture of the company or the role. So it's a little bit of both. Yeah.
Right. And I'm wondering, what are some of the common challenges that business owners and entrepreneurs are facing when it comes to their hiring practices?
I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they fall in love with a candidate too quickly. And so, what's made them successful as an entrepreneur is their sensitivity towards what the market needs. And that same skill, that same unique quality is kind of their detriment in hiring. So they really they hire people that they like. And so oftentimes entrepreneurs, visionaries will choose a candidate from a small pool, choose a candidate because it reminds them of themselves, or they like the candidate, or maybe they hire someone internally for a role. Those are some common errors. Oftentimes people will fall in love with resumes, and the majority of resumes have outright lies on them. 100% all resumes have embellishments on them. It's only getting worse with AI creating these amazing resumes. And so, we don't want to fall in love with the resume because it's just a 2-dimensional document. So you need to, when you evaluate candidates, you need to look at their character, how they fit with their culture. Do they want this job, or do they want a job? Their capacity, their physical, mental capacity to do the job, their ability. What about their past gives you an idea that they'll be successful moving forward. So entrepreneurs, we tend to like someone, and we make like a really quick decision. Like, I want Joanne on my team. She's great. I interviewed her. She's got a good resume, and it ends up being a disaster. And it's actually true. This stat that I love from Gallup says that 82% of the time companies fail to choose the right manager. And 82% of the time, I mean, that's 8 out of 10, right? So the odds are against you for finding that right leader.
Right. And can you speak a little bit about what it looks like when businesses do find the right people for the right role and things are clicking? I mean, what does that look like, when they've had the wrong people in the wrong seat? What does it look like when the wrong people are in the wrong seat? What does it look like when the right people are in the right seat?
Yeah. So it's miserable when you have the wrong person, right? They say that it's up to 14 times the salary that you pay them. And Brad Smart, he did a
Mm,
study and he found out that a bad hire nearly costs 14 times of their annual
right,
salary. So, I mean, if you're paying them 100 grand a year, it's a $1.4 million mistake, right? So that is misery. The other misery is that it can be over 250 hours of lost time, right? So that's time you can't get back. Now, on the upside, a really good A player, a great top performing leader are going to pay for themselves, right? Three,
right,
4, 5, 10-fold. So what you pay them, you're going to get in return. One of the things I love, what I do is I get to see our clients and the success they have. And over the years, no one has ever said, Alec, the person that you helped me hire end up costing me money and our profit is lower, our revenue is lower. No one's ever said that. In fact, it's the opposite, right?
right,
So top line grows, bottom line grows. And then, the benefit is that these entrepreneurs have more time, they have more energy, they have more joy. They're able to do the things that they love to do. And so there's a tremendous upside to having the right people on the right seats.
right. Now, I'm wondering, and this might sound like a very silly question, but I'm curious. When you're in an interview space, say that the business owner is hiring and they're doing an interview, is there something that you hear in the interview space? I mean, maybe consistently, I don't know. This might be a ridiculous question, but that when you hear it, red flag, not that guy. He's not the one, And I guess conversely, is there anything that you hear where you go, that's the guy. That's the guy.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So you're asking if there's any indication from a candidate that will determine
Right.
if they're the right guy. No. And I think that's what smart interviewing and selection is not looking for the one thing, right?
Right.
So you want to look at everything that matters and use objective tools like a scripted interview, behavioral interview questions, use an assessment tool. Just using an assessment tool, any assessment tool actually more than triples your degree of determining if they're going to succeed in that role. So
Right.
the average interviewer, University of Michigan study said that the average interview only can predict someone's success about 14% accuracy, right? So
Really?
yeah, but when you use an assessment tool, it's about 52%. So it more than triples those odds. Now, we use a really strong interview. We use a really strong assessment tool. We have a really good process. So that's why we have such a high success rate.
I mean, these statistics that you're laying down are just pretty staggering. And it's, I mean, you'd think there would be so much more success in this area than there is. Why do you think, overall these sort of statistic numbers on success rates are so low? What do you think contributes to that?
I think the average human thinks they're a good judge of character, that they're good at
Mm,
interviewing. And, it's like if I have an issue, a plumbing issue in my house, I'm going to call a plumber, right?
right.
If in my business, if I have a really good CPA that works with small businesses, I pay him for his expertise, right? And if that CPA was only 20% successful, I would fire him or her, right? So,
Right.
but when it comes to hiring, like, wow, I'm pretty good. But the math is that you're not, generally speaking, if 8 out of 10 are bad decisions, then you have about a 20% success rate in making the right hiring decision. So, yeah, I think it's the biggest mistake is we kind of rely on gut and instinct in making those hiring decisions.
Right. Now you almost exclusively work with entrepreneurs, correct?
We work, the majority of our clients are entrepreneurial companies. So they're either first generation, second generation. We've worked with fifth generation entrepreneurial companies. We've also worked with, small to mid-sized businesses. But generally speaking, the majority of our clients are entrepreneurial companies.
What are some of the key qualities that you see that make a successful entrepreneur and create successful entrepreneurial leadership? And
Mhm.
maybe how can some of those key qualities be applied to their hiring practices?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. A good entrepreneur really wants to have a great culture in their organization. So, with an entrepreneur who's creative, innovative, they are really good at marketing, selling, um, and to take that ability and create an amazing culture, have an amazing culture where people want to work, right? And so today, um, the best top performing employees want to work in a culture where they're valued, where they matter. It's not as much about money as it is about really enjoying where they work, being able to create an impact. So the entrepreneur, if they can create a great culture, they could, using core values and hiring by those core values, firing by those core values, really setting a good example. One of my favorite quotes, and I still haven't found the original person that said this. I think it was John Maxwell, but you can teach what you know, but you replicate who you are, right? So if an entrepreneur is, if they have really great qualities, really great character, they're, a great individual, they have a good heart, they love their employees, that would be something that would be super powerful in transforming their company to being a top performing organization.
And I want to talk a little bit more about, because I thought it was very interesting. I want to speak a little bit more about, these 13 years that you've been doing this. And we
Mhm.
talked a little bit about, the changes that you've seen in hiring practices over that time. But I'm curious, as we talk a little bit more about employees, have you seen over that period of time any changes in employees and what the average person is looking to get out of their business with their business relationship with an employer?
Yeah, I think it goes to kind of what I shared earlier, but a lot of employees want to work in a great culture and they want to make a great impact.
Right.
We've seen a lot of candidates who are kind of tired of the bureaucracy of corporate America, the cubicle farm, lots of hierarchy, red tape, and they're
Right.
just really passionate about making a difference, and they have exceptional leadership skills, and then they thrive in a small business environment. Now, we have a really good vetting process because not all individuals from corporate America will do well in a small business. So
Right.
there's some traits that we need to vet. But it's and I'll meet with friends that are with corporate America that are tired of the politics, the red tape, bureaucracy, and they're asking for career advice. And I said, have you ever considered working for a small to mid-sized business? You're at a manager level, director level here at corporate America. What if you're a VP in a
Right.
small business and you can make a huge difference? And their eyes light up and they're, like, yes, Alec, thank you. So I think those are some changes I've seen with candidates. Candidates are getting better with interviewing, especially with the use of AI, finding out really good interview
Right.
questions. They're getting better taking assessments with AI. So it's super important that when you interview, you get specific examples.
Right.
And you want to really overlook any sort of ambiguity and evasiveness.
Well, we've talked about, what you've seen, the changes and trends that you've seen, develop over the past 13 years. I'd like to turn the lens around and look towards the future. I mean, you mentioned AI. Obviously, AI tools are emerging. What impact is AI having upon hiring procedures, and where do you think that's going to go in maybe the next 5, 10 years?
Yeah. So candidates we're seeing that our clients want individuals to be more and more tech savvy, right? And you know, I've heard this saying, and I think it's true, that you probably won't be replaced by AI, but you could
Right.
be replaced by someone that knows AI.
Yeah, and I'm wondering now, you know, and this is something I think is interesting because you're an author. Do you
Mhm.
think AI is impacting that space at all?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to write a book with AI. I mean,
Right.
that's that is really easy to do. So I do think AI is making that a lot more efficient. Now, it'd be good to consult with, you know, really good publishers and good writers uh, to write books, etc. But yeah, that's definitely impacting that space.
Well, in your book, Revealed: The Inside Secrets to what's the full title? Inside Secrets to Hiring Your Number Two Leader. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
it's actually hiring your right number two leader. So
Hmm.
we re-released that book last year with a updated title.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
so that's it. Yeah.
And what inspired the re-release?
Well, I the first one I wrote in a hurry, and I was not really proud of it, and I knew it had a lot of potential. I met with a friend of mine who is phenomenal at marketing books. His name's Kerry Oberbrunner, and I said, Kerry, I need your help. And so we released it a year ago. It made it to #1 on Amazon,
Oh,
and
wow.
so that was really amazing.
Yeah,
And
congratulations. That's
yeah,
incredible.
his company, Igniting Souls, just does a phenomenal job with really making sure the right audience reads your books.
And I'd love to just peel back the cover a little bit. If we can peel back the cover a little bit, can you share what are some of the challenges that business leaders face when hiring that number two leader?
Yeah, I think they want to hire someone internally on their team, or they'll,
Mm.
you know, and I think that's a really big mistake. We found that the best number two leaders have these 7 indispensable traits, and only about 3% of the population have those traits. So I think a mistake number one is hiring someone internally. Another mistake is hiring someone that they know and they're not properly vetted. Hiring someone like themselves, you know, is
Right.
very common. You know, us entrepreneurs can easily be swindled, I'll say, um, by someone that is a really good interviewer. So, yeah, I think it's not one of the things I've seen is the entrepreneur does not think about the future
Mm.
when it comes to hiring. And so, can this candidate get you from point A to point B?
Right.
And I think that is important. So you're going to hire this candidate. Maybe he or she is competent and capable now, but when you grow, when you have a larger team, are they capable of being a leader at that point? And so um, I think that's another mistake. So really thinking like, can this person take our company to the next level? And it's a great question to ask with everybody on their leadership team. So that
Yeah.
I think is some insight for entrepreneurs. Um, and you know, entrepreneurs, yeah, they don't think big enough. They don't hire big enough when it comes to a key position.
So you've written Revealed: Inside Secrets to Hiring the Right Number Two Leader. Are there any other books on the forefront? Have you been planning any other writing endeavors?
Yeah, down the road, I'll be writing a book on hiring leaders, and so yeah, so that's down the road. But we have some really big plans this year, and our company continues to grow. We had a great year last year, and we have some other endeavors. So down the road, maybe next year, I'll begin writing that book on, you know, hiring great leaders.
Is that the first time that you've revealed that there's another book in the works? Did we just get an inside scoop?
Um, Maybe, probably publicly. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about, I know that you're a fairly sought after speaker. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your speaking engagements?
Yeah, so I speak a lot. I've spoken every year at the US conference. So I'll be speaking again this year at the conference. The topic will be hiring the right integrator to transform your team and scale your company. I've spoken at the Visionary Integrator Summit in the fall for US as well. Spoken to many different Vistage groups, peer groups. I've done some workshops here in Columbus. One of my unique speaking experiences was in the fall. I got to speak at Platinum Elevated, which is very successful entrepreneurs who are part of this mastermind group. And it was on the beach. And I was the opening keynote speaker with the waves behind me. And it was just that was a fun speaking gig. It was totally unique.
Yeah, not a bad day at work, right?
Not a bad day at work. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to get into this space? And furthermore, what inspired you to create VisionSpark?
Well, that's a great question. I'm an entrepreneur by trade. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 25. I bought a small company and I worked for a bank for 2 years. And other than that, I've been an entrepreneur ever since. And so in my entrepreneurial journey, I just made all the wrong mistakes when it came to hiring. About 20 years ago, I had a mailing company and we were just killing it. We were just super profitable. We were really putting some of the small businesses out of business. We would pick up mail at our client's location at 2 p.m. We'd have it in the mail that night. We had a high accuracy rate. We priced it really well, really profitable. We had a lot of the big companies here in Columbus, like Chase and some of the big hospital systems. And when I looked at our hiring trends, we stunk. About 3 out of 10 people actually we hired were good enough. And we were firing almost 7 out of 10 we hired. And so I was really at my wit's ends. I reached out to a mentor of mine and I said, what am I doing wrong? And I have an MBA on top of this. So I thought, man, I'm smart enough to hire, right? I know this, right? And it's the same with my other entrepreneurial colleagues. And he said, are you using any sort of assessment? And I said, no. So he introduced me to an assessment tool. And at that time we needed, and we started, our trends in hiring started changing. We were about 7 out of 10 people were successful. And then shortly thereafter, we had a office manager position open. And this one individual just knocked the interview out of the ballpark. I didn't know how to interview back then, so take that with a grain of salt. And I had her take the assessment, and the results were horrible. And they said she was going to be a slow learner, insecure, no attention to detail, poor communicator. And I'm like, this cannot be true. And so I said, I'll reach out to her references. So I reached out to her references and they said, oh yeah, she's great. And I wasn't really probing strong enough. So I hired her. And within 3 weeks, we fired her. Everything that the assessment said about her was spot on.
Wow.
And so I said, never again. Fast forward a few years, I sold that company. I was doing consulting. I was helping entrepreneurs improve their cash flow. I noticed in their companies that they were having tremendous people issues. And I said, their cash flow issues are really people issues. And they were all making all the poor hiring mistakes. And so in 2012, I started VisionSpark with the passion of helping entrepreneurs hire the right leaders. Yeah. So, yeah.
Can you share with us a story of a business or a client that, when over your years of doing this, when you think back on all the businesses, all the people you've helped, is there a story that you could share with us that's an example of someone that you really, really saw a positive outcome and a positive transformation in them and their business as a result of your help?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. My favorite story was a company on the East Coast. They were an HVAC company. They had about 200 employees. It was a husband and wife owned organization. And a mutual consultant introduced us because they needed a president to run their company. And we had, 200-300 candidates that we vetted. They end up hiring a really amazing individual. And then I followed up with them, a couple weeks later, and I didn't hear anything. And again, I followed up a couple weeks after that and didn't hear anything. And so about 60, 90 days of this going on, I didn't hear anything. And so, I'm really customer focused. I really want to make sure our customers are happy. And so I reached out to that consultant that introduced us, and I said, I'm really concerned. I haven't heard from them. And I think we hired this amazing individual that can run their company and do a great job. And he said, Alec, everything is amazing. The reason why you haven't gotten a hold of them is they're traveling the world right now. And they're able to have that free time. So you did a phenomenal job. And that company continues to grow and excel. That was about 8 years ago. Another story would be myself. Okay. So I saw firsthand on how our clients were having all sorts of momentum. They were able to scale and grow and have the life they want to have. But I always thought my company was too small. And 3.5 years ago, I hired my number 2, and my life hasn't been the same. So number 1, our company has tripled in size. Number 2, I'm able to do the things I enjoy doing and have a lot more impact. My joy has come back. My energy is back. And my team is better. My retention of A players is better. Culture is better. And so it's just been a game changer for having the right number 2.
Well, Alec, that is incredible. I mean, this has been an awesome, super informative conversation. And I'm just wondering if anybody out there listening could use your help, could use the help of VisionSpark. Where can the people find you?
So our website, visionsparksearch.com. They can find all sorts of stuff. We have some really cool free stuff on there. They're welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. So, send me a note that they heard me on a podcast, Partnerships for Profit, and be happy to connect with them. If they want a book, they can also buy that on Amazon or reach out through our site.
Alec, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been awesome.
All right. Thank you, Adrian.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been Partnerships for Profit, presented by LeDuc Entertainment. Alec, thank you again.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.